Alright folks, there is my CRF300L Rally. I've got a couple of things that I am pretty excited to be putting on today. They are going to go here and there. And what we're talking about today is the Outback Motortek Honda CRF 300 Rally skid plate. And then I have the 300 Rally crash bars. So I'm going to go ahead and take everything out. I obviously have not unpackaged anything, but oh, I guess there's a real label on the other side. How about that? There we go. That's what we're looking at, folks. And then that is what we're looking at over here. And I will throw these down into the description below, but I just wanted to show you, they do come just in a cardboard box with some wrappings, and this is what I got going on. So we're gonna get to it and try to get some stuff installed. As you can see, there's still quite a bit of snow on the ground here, but it is April now, and I really would like to start riding soon. So I'm hoping that I can get this bike pretty much where it needs to be in the next couple of days so that I can start riding when the time permits. So I'm going to get started, and we shall see how much of a task this actually is. I will keep you guys updated on anything that I see that is abnormal or tricky or anything such. So see you in a bit. All right, so I've got my Lincoln logs all set out in every which direction. And the first thing that it says to do in the instructional video is to pull out this bolt and this one, all four in the front that hold on that, just the exhaust cover here, and then the two on the other side so that you are able to get this moving freely. So I'm clearly going to have to take off this little skid plate thing, but I was going to have to do that anyways to get the new skid plate on, so I will show that when I get there. It also did want you to take out this bolt on either side, and that is so that when you take off the skid plate, you are really able to move this fairing out of the way. So I thought I would show you real quick the differences in skid plate. This one is obviously much thicker and actually aluminum. The one that comes on the CRF 300L Rally is this smaller plastic one. So very happy to be getting this bigger and beefier skid plate on there. I think that is going to be a nice upgrade and much needed for the kind of riding that I'm hoping to start doing this summer. So I'm going to continue along and get some of these other bolts off and out of the way. Okay, what it tells you to do next is remove what they call the through bolts. That would be one that's here and one that's right here. They do have these spacers. That one is still pinned in place. They look like this. Don't lose track of them like I just dropped that one. You're gonna need to keep all of them for later. Take your through bolts out. They are 14 mil on each side. And then we are going to use some different hardware going back through there. So here's a quick little update. The out of the box crash bars do not fit if you have a modified exhaust. So I have the Moto X full titanium, and this bracket that goes on the, let's call it the passenger's side, it sits like, kind of hard to see, it sits like this in there, and there's this reinforcement that's been welded in place, and on the video on their website, this reinforcement is not there. And if this reinforcement is there, it actually doesn't have enough clearance to get in between the exhaust and where it is supposed to connect to have these holes line up. So if I show you, if I drop it down into place and ever so slightly finesse it all with one hand if I can, here is where the interference is occurring, and you can clearly see that I'm gonna have to cut more to get this to fit where it needs to fit, so that way that hole, which is kind of hard to show you, can line up, and it is not lined up right now. That is basically straight on. So I'm gonna have to cut a little more out of that. I'm hoping that I can cut enough to make this actually fit, because if I can't, I'm going to be so sad. To those of you who have an aftermarket exhaust and are going to go with this Outback Motortek kit, the manifold actually is tight tighter, narrower on my aftermarket exhaust than the stock exhaust, and you will have to modify this bracket out of the box. So good luck, and I will let you know how mine goes. Alright folks, well, as you can tell now, it is dark outside, so I apologize in advance for this being one of those videos where they say draw a circle and then they say draw the rest of the owl. You can see now that the bars are on, and if I give it a good shake, you will see that they are pretty solid. I'm not going to admit that I'm super happy with the quality. The manufacturer is great. The welds are nice and strong. The fitment on this bike is kind of shitty. I hope that those of you who do have these CRF300L rallies take note. Make sure that you don't have any exhaust accessories when you go to install these. Make sure that you have your crash bars on there first, or probably not at all. I'm going to be honest with you, I would probably not recommend these crash bars. This is a piss poor install, and it's taken way longer than it should have. But despite all of the negative things that I just said, these bars are very stout, and they do not stick out very far on either side of the fairing. So I will show you what I ended up doing, and that is I trimmed away a large portion of that piece of reinforcement that was welded in, and then I got that bar in place with spacers that you see right there, and then it goes all the way through to the other side, and then down there, this one as well, spacer, and there's a spacer on that side, and one there and one there. You can follow along the video that is on the Outback Motortek website for installation, but I just ended up going with my gut and getting everything on there nice and tight. The skid plate looks like it's going to go on super simple. It is a couple of bolts, so I will get to that here in just a sec. I'm going to finish tightening up a couple of the ones that I need to tighten up and get some of those fairing bolts back in, because I want to wrap this project up. So I will catch up with you guys in a little bit. For the skid plate, what you're going to want to do is add this little bracket on with the provided hardware, and then you're going to put your, what they call the grill, back on over the front and the bottom, and then you can just slap the skid plate on underneath. So I'm going to throw that grill thing back on with the factory hardware. That will keep these lower portions in place, and then I'm going to go ahead and get that skid plate on there. And there you have it, crash bars and skid plate installed. I will say, take everything that I said with the crash bar install and remove that from their skid plate install. The skid plate is awesome, it's very beefy, and it goes on super easy, and it's very, very stout when you get it on there. I mean, again, it's hard to show this kind of stuff, but when I pull on these, I mean, the whole bike is very much mobile at that point. So yeah, that is the Outback Motortek CRF300L Rally skid plate and the crash bar installation. So sorry that I sound kind of like a downer on this one. I really was hoping that this install would go faster and would be simpler, but with the whole exhaust conundrum and then getting that crossbar in place, it's very much more of a hassle than it needs to be. I wish they had something on their website that said, you know, if you have a modified exhaust, you should be wary of our product or something like that. I wish they, really what I wish they had, and I might reach out to them and ask, because as far as I can tell, they're a very good company with very, very dedicated people who work on their products. But I really wish they had a thing where it said, you know, I have a modified exhaust, please do not add on that extended piece for reinforcement. It will not be necessary on my bike. So anyways, everything seems to be nice and solid now, and obviously I was able to get it all in place. So yeah, I'm still happy with it. I still probably would not recommend this to somebody who is just starting to work on a bike or has any modified exhaust until they reach out to Outback, just to make sure that everything is the way that it is supposed to be. So that's where we're at. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I will keep y'all updated as I keep going, because I do have another thing that I want to install, although it will probably be a tomorrow project now that tonight has drug on. So I have one more thing that will kind of change the way that I'm able to utilize this bike. So anyways, I appreciate it. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. This is probably the start of most of you for riding, and be safe out there. I probably have another week or so before the snow comes off before I can ride consistently, and that's where I'm going to be probably here pretty soon. So I'll catch you guys in the next one, and yeah, thanks again.